Hey guys, what's up? Skulls here. Before we get started, I know there are some of you watching the video because you want to know how to turn off auto chat. So if you don't like auto chat or you would just like it off, go to the menu, click Systems, go to where it says Options, Sound and Chat, and then auto chat usage you can turn off, so not used. You can also hide it from the chat log over here on the side. If you don't want to turn off all auto chat, you can always turn them off by category, and a little bit later on in the video, I will be explaining the different categories. But yes, that is how you turn off auto chat. Now, for those of you who are auto chat users, I know there are lots of videos out there made by amazing NGS creators letting you know how auto chats work, what they are, and all of the cool things that you can do with them. But with recent changes to the game, upcoming changes that we'll have soon, and a whole lot of new players, we definitely need an updated do's and don'ts guide for auto chat, or what I like to call auto chat etiquette. First off, what is auto chat? It's a feature that you can use in-game to set custom chat lines that automatically pop up when a certain action happens. In the description, I'll include some really good videos that you can check out to learn all of the functions that you can use auto chat with and all of the functions that you can use in chat in general. You can do some really cool things. I made this video because I've seen a lot of negativity surrounding auto chats and how they're being used. And I feel like when we play games, we want to avoid the drama, right? Auto chat is an in-game function, so I'm a huge believer that you should be able to use any in-game function as you please, as long as it's in terms of service and you're not doing anything offensive or negative towards anyone else. But have you ever had a game give you too many options? Some people generally don't like auto chat, even using them the way that I would advise in this guide. As I mentioned before, there is a way to turn them off. So keep that in mind if they do frustrate you or you see someone get annoyed, as they may not know that you can change this. Okay, let's look at all of the options we have for auto chat. There are a lot, and it's a lot to look at. And actually, before we move on, I do understand why people use all of these functions. You get really excited because you want to customize your character, especially when you learn how to do some of the cool chat functions like changing colors, including stamps, doing cut-ins, things like that. And you might want to fill in everything on here, but I want to go ahead and say that you probably should not. If you go to the menu and click where it says chat, select auto chat settings to open up the settings menu. And here, let's start where it says events. There's at quest completion, meaning when you finish an urgent quest, limited quest, or anything of that sort. Trial join, joining a trial out in the field, in a quest, etc. Trial complete. Trial failed, which I only ever see this one, honestly, when you don't fight the Giga. Quest accepted. Joined in progress quest, which I think that applies more to base game. Join party invited to, begin teleport, end teleport, so when you arrive, PSE burst start, PSE burst climax. Now if we go to members, when your character levels up, friend level up, meaning when a party member levels up, when someone else heals you, when someone else assists you, when a party member gets a rare drop. Now to the last tab, actions. And this is where it gets a little crazy. When you're incapacitated, when you're revived, you have less than 30 HP left, less than 10 HP left, when you use a recovery item, when you get a rare drop, when you take minor damage, when you take moderate damage, taking major damage, when you do a normal attack, when you do a photon art, you activate a technique, use a weapon action, successfully do a perfect guard, a dodge action, activate a skill, When you use your photon blast, this is actually my favorite one. When you photon dash, yes, I said photon dash, like your normal dash. When you do a dash attack, a photon glide, and when you do a diving attack. Now, again, that seems like a little much. Not only that, but if you see this little plus here, you can add up to 3 different chat commands for each category. So if you're a new player looking at this, you're probably trying to even figure out where to start. Sometimes if you're an OCD person like me, you feel like you need to fill out everything here, but you definitely don't. Now, the ones that I recommend using, let's start with some fun ones. So when you complete a quest, you can kind of have something fun like, yay, we did it. Or mine is like, nice work, everyone, with some color commands here and a dance. You can do one when you join a trial just to kind of make an extra entrance. I like to make an entrance, so that's one of my favorites. When you complete a trial, so you can kind of just boost morale by saying GG or something cool like that. Accepting a quest is kind of cool too. Entering a party. Let's see, the teleportation ones are kind of cool. A good one to have is when you're incapacitated, just so the people around you know, especially when you're doing big fights with a lot of players. Not everyone can tell that you're dead if they're not paying attention to things like the map. And again, my favorite one, when you use your photon blast. As you can see, we use maximum waifu power here. Those are all really fun. They're pretty standard for anyone who does have auto chat set on. No one should be bothered by things like that. Now, what I advise that you don't do are things like your health. Maybe if you want to pick it being less than 30% or 10, just choose one. When you do minor or moderate damage, you might not want to use those because you'll end up spamming the chat every single time you get hit, especially if you're a melee class. Using your photon arts and techniques, because that is the major way that you fight. You'll just be spamming auto chats all over the place. That applies for technique and weapon action too. Same with the perfect guard and dodge. I don't advise doing any for dash, dash attack, or glide or diving attack because you use those regularly too. You don't want to create a chat wall, and that's just courtesy for everyone who's playing with you. Everything else is pretty much okay. There are some that are situational though. For example, if you look, you can see that I have mine turned off for being revived or for being boosted. And the reason for that is doing things like fighting ancients. In ancients, you die a lot, and I'm sure we'll have other combat modes where you die a lot. And this ends up being just as spammy as those other ones that I mentioned before, when you're dying constantly and getting revived. So again, you don't want to cause a chat wall for everyone. You can decide to copy these and paste these somewhere if you want to put them back. But that's just kind of something I advise to people. I always talk about that on my stream, and even to my own friends. I always tell them that they might want to turn it off. I turned mine off because I was just straight up annoying myself with how much it was spamming the chat. I did mention earlier that some of these are more noticeable in base game, so just keep that in mind when you do things like starting quests and starting trials. You'll see that pop up a lot more when you do certain things in base game, and you don't want to irritate everyone you play with. Now, I'm sure people will understand the first time, but again, you just kind of want to keep those in mind and maybe decide to have some that you rotate if you really want to keep them on. I'm not going into the chat functions too much, but if you see some of them have \A, that is so everyone in the chat can see them. By default, only your party can see your auto chats. It's common courtesy just to kind of keep most of them as a party thing, but the fun ones like joining a quest, doing your photon blast can definitely be in all chat. Other things like being incapacitated should be in all chat too, so other people can res you. I don't recommend keeping it on for things like normal attacks, photon arts, techniques, weapon action, perfect guard, and dodge. Just because these are things that you are going to be using constantly, so you will end up spamming the chat that way. Now that we've gone over the big things, let's go over the etiquette, since some of these things are situational. As mentioned before, you will be in situations where you are doing massive boss fights, in rooms with up to 32 people. When fighting bosses of that caliber, you will do things like heal, die, and get revived a lot, as well as getting boosted. So my advice is to keep the auto chats off for most of those things other than death. Personally, I feel a little rude when I don't thank the person who healed me, but there will be time to thank them later. You can give a shout out to all the Force and Tector players out there after the fight is done. The last thing I'm going to mention is the etiquette when using all chat and using party chat. By default, auto chats are sent to your party chat instead of area chat. Now, if you do want to send an auto chat to area chat, do what is shown here and put \A in front of the chat message you would like to send. Make sure there's a space in between and no space before the A. The way that this is used is definitely up to the player. I keep a lot of my auto chats set to area chat, so I interact with people who aren't in my party when I join a trial, do things like my photon blast, and even get a rare drop. It's definitely recommended to set the incapacitated chat as an area chat as well, so the people who aren't in your party know when you need help. And I have the less ideal ones that are pretty much just for my pleasure, set as party only so they don't clog up the chat for everyone, only the people in my party. Good luck, party members. But that's about it when it comes to the do's and don'ts of auto chats. Pretty straightforward, just don't spam everyone and you should be okay. It's totally up to each player what they do and don't use. I'm just using examples of things that I see start problems or I have experienced negative player interactions. And we don't want that, right? If you have questions, feel free to ask away. And make sure to check out the videos listed in the description so you can see all the cool things that you can do with the chat commands in PSO. Rare drops, stay comfy, get that masetta. Sayonara!